Maybe there's a Chinese song that you like and you want to use it to learn Chinese, but you may not realize that music actually changes a language. So if you want to learn Chinese with songs, then you have to understand how it's different from spoken language as well as the limitations of learning a language through songs. I'm not saying they're bad for language learning, and in fact, I love learning Chinese through songs, and there's two objective reasons why they are good. The first is that songs are repetitive, which really helps in learning new vocabulary, and the second is that the pacing of songs is almost always slower than spoken speech, making them easier to follow. Of course, you also have the subjective reasons that it's a form of entertainment, so it can get you motivated to study. But there's a problem with lyrics. They are simply too poetic. And since I'm guessing most of you just want to be conversational in Chinese and you're not trying to be the next Li Bai, then it's important for you to distinguish when a song uses vernacular language and when it uses literary language. I get that it can be difficult for Chinese learners to make that distinction, so as a native speaker, I'll give you a few right now. However, I will give you two general tips to help you make that distinction. The first is that if the vocabulary in a song is generally easier, then there's a higher chance that it uses simple language. Duh. And the second tip is, if you're looking up individual words from a song in a dictionary, most dictionaries will tell you if that word is a literary term and not simple spoken speech. Now let's discuss what aspects of language learning you can learn from songs and what aspects of language learning you should avoid when learning from songs. I'll go through 4 different categories and give each category a rating out of 10. First up, pronunciation. Probably not a good idea since Chinese is a tonal language and tones are impossible to inflect in songs. Singing in Chinese is basically Chinese minus the tones. Now you could say, well, I could use it as a general guide to pronunciation, without the tones. But the other problem is singers don't articulate very well, and a lot of them don't pronounce words properly when they're singing. And on top of that, a lot of singers will actually modify certain vowel sounds to make it easier to sing. This is not just with Chinese, by the way. This is with any language. There's something we call a wide vowel, like the E sound, which is really difficult for singers to sing on high notes. So they will often modify it to become like a taller vowel, like an A sound. A great example of this is the American national anthem. At the climax, when you hit the word free, a lot of singers will pronounce it closer to a fray sound. So for these reasons, pronunciation is probably not something you should focus on when learning Chinese with songs. 2 out of 10. Sentence structure. Sentence structure can be learned from song, but it really depends on the song. Some songs are just a whole bunch of incomplete phrases, while other songs are actually full of complete sentences. The best songs to learn sentence structure from are songs with long, regular phrasings and minimal vocal embellishments, because long phrases usually means that the song has more complete sentences, and songs like 嘉宾, for example, which follow this convention, will have more grammatically correct, complete phrases. Well, sentences. Additionally, be wary of songs with a lot of vocal embellishments, because that's actually a tool a lot of songwriters use as a filler. So that means that the phrase before or after a vocal embellishment will tend to be incomplete a lot of times. To sum it up, using songs to learn sentence structure really depends on the song if you can discern them. 5 out of 10. Grammar points and short phrases. In this section, I'm talking about the short grammar points that can be demonstrated within one sentence. Things like particles de or a short phrase like 一个人慢慢走. These short grammar points are better to learn than complete sentences in songs because they're more likely to be grammatically correct. Something that happens a lot in songs is you'll have a sentence that's almost complete, except they'll omit the subject of the sentence. So while it's technically not a complete sentence, the phrase itself is grammatically correct. 8 out of 10. And finally, we have vocabulary. Individual words are likely your best bet when learning Chinese with songs, because unless the artist really took their liberties, it's unlikely that an individual word will be improperly used. In addition, modern songs are very repetitive, which means that the same words will often show up again and again, especially in the chorus. And because most songs have a specific emotion or a mood, it can be helpful for showing you the application of certain words. For example, in the song 嘉宾, you hear the word 感谢, which maybe you're confused on what's the difference between 感谢 and 谢谢, since they both mean thanks, but after listening to the song, maybe you'll understand 感谢 can be used to express a deeper gratitude, like in the context of thanking an ex who was maybe really good to you, but it just didn't work out in the end. But there is still a slight problem. Because most songs are love songs, what that means is you're going to be exposed to a somewhat limited set of vocabulary that may or may not be applicable to your real everyday life. However, I think all in all, songs are still fantastic for picking up new vocabulary, so this category gets a solid 9 out of 10 for me. Now that you know what to focus on when learning Chinese with songs, I just want to give you some more tips to help you even more. Number 1, focus on the theme words of a song. Not only will these theme words tend to repeat more, they will also tend to match the mood or emotion of the song perfectly, which will help you to subconsciously start to associate those emotions with those words. And this is more important the more advanced you get, because you'll start learning an increasing number of words that all sound really similar and mean similar things with just slight differences in emotions or other subtleties. Number 2, on the other hand, don't get caught up in the title of the song. This may seem as a surprise, but unlike English songs, I've noticed that a lot of Chinese songs have very literary titles that sometimes don't even appear anywhere in the lyrics of the song. 3, focus on the first words and the last words of each phrase. Research shows that the beginning and ends of a sequence are easiest to remember, so why wouldn't you use that to your advantage? 4, say the lyrics out loud without singing them to help you remember the tones, especially of new words that you learn. Because Chinese singing obviously doesn't have tones, it can be easy for you to forget the tones of new words that you learn from songs if you don't speak them. 5, don't feel like you have to learn the whole song. Be opportunistic and just learn what is at your level. Because if you learn things that aren't at your level, that aren't relevant to you or don't interest you, then you'll be easily frustrated. I talked about this in detail in my recent video. If you haven't seen that video yet, you can check it out right here. Something that's really common too is you'll have a chorus of a song be a lot easier language-wise than the verse of a song. So if you want to just learn the chorus, then just go for the chorus. Just don't make it frustrating on yourself. And finally, just have fun and find music you truly enjoy. Because when you have a motivation and a drive to learn a language, that makes all the difference in the world. Honestly, the reason I'm so passionate about music is because it is what motivated me to learn Chinese 5 years ago. At least one of my motivations. I'm not kidding. I'll tell you the story later. And if you need resources to help you learn Chinese with songs, I post lyric videos regularly on my channel of popular Chinese songs, and those will have Chinese lyrics, the pinyin, and also an English translation done by yours truly. The newer ones will also have a study guide to go alongside the video, and those will have a word-for-word translation, as well as footnotes to explain some tricky concepts within the songs. If you need song recommendations, I invite everybody watching to leave your favorite Chinese song in the comments and also include the genre too, and I think that will really help other people find songs that they like. That's all I have for today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. 我们下次再见了，拜拜。